There's a specific kind of man who walks into a room and changes the temperature of it without saying a word. You've met him, maybe you've even envied him a little, and the strange part, the part nobody really explains to you, is that he didn't get there by trying harder than you. He got there by giving something up, something you're still carrying around right now. He stopped caring. Not in the cold, bitter way you're probably picturing. In a deeper way than that. Somewhere along the line, he figured out a handful of truths that most men spend their entire lives running from. And the day they finally landed for him, he became, honestly, kind of dangerous. Hard to move, hard to manipulate, hard to scare. Here's the thing though. The world does not really want you to find this out, because a man who needs your approval is a man you can control, and there's a whole quiet economy built on keeping you slightly insecure, slightly hungry for a nod from people who forgot your name by Tuesday. You've been performing for a jury that went home years ago. This video is about the day that performance ends. And here's the part that should get your attention. That realization, the one that sounds bleak the first time you hear it, is pretty much the most power a man will ever be handed for free. So keep one question in the back of your head the whole way through, because it's the thread that ties all of this together. Why does a calm man make a room nervous? We'll get there. It matters more than you'd think right now. It's late. You're lying in bed, not sleeping, because your brain has decided that 1 in the morning is the perfect time to replay a sentence you said at lunch. Nothing major, just a slightly awkward thing you said to a coworker 8 hours ago, and now you're running it back. Again, wondering what they thought, wondering if they're still thinking about it. They're not. I want you to actually sit with that for a second, because here's the part that should genuinely shake you a little. That coworker forgot the whole moment before he even reached his car. He had his own sentence to replay, his own lunch to be quietly embarrassed about. Every single person you have ever worried about impressing was, at that exact moment, worried about somebody else. Psychologists have a name for this. They call it the spotlight effect. And basically, it's your brain massively overestimating how much attention is actually pointed at you. You feel like you're standing on a stage. You're not. There is no stage. There's a room full of other men, every one of them convinced he's the one being watched. Now here's where it gets useful, and kind of brutal at the same time. As long as you believe in that crowd, you can be controlled by it. Every decision you make runs through an invisible committee first. What will they think? How will this look? You shrink your words before they even leave your mouth. You pick the safe option, the quiet one, the choice that offends nobody and impresses nobody either. The crowd was never real, is the day you stop asking that committee for permission. And a man who has stopped asking permission, well, that's a man who just turned unpredictable, which is, weirdly, where the danger actually starts. That sounds simple enough. Stop asking the crowd for permission. Turn unpredictable. Done. Almost no man actually pulls it off. And here's why. The performance isn't something you run now and then. It's running all the time. Think about how much of your day is actually just maintenance, not living. Maintenance. You wake up and check who looked at your story. You phrase a text 3 times before you send it. You walk into work wearing a face you put on, a voice that's a little off from your real one, a version of yourself that's been quietly focus grouped down to whatever feels safest. That's a job. Nobody told you, but you've been working a second job your whole life. The pay is terrible, and you can't quit because you don't even remember being hired for it. Here's what that performance is really costing you. Your energy is finite. The man who spends 60% of his mental fuel managing how he's perceived has 40% left for the things that actually build a life. His skills, his body, his money, his mission. Meanwhile, the man who stopped performing is running on a full tank. Same 24 hours in the day, wildly different output by the end of the year. And this is the part that should make you a little angry. Honestly, the performance does not even work. You assume that if you curate hard enough, say the right things, post the right things, people will hand you respect for it. They won't. Respect has never come from polish. People can smell effort. And the visible kind, the trying too hard kind, reads as weakness pretty much every time. You know who actually gets respect? The man who clearly is not auditioning. The one who shows up as himself, a little unbothered, not adjusting his personality for the room. People lean toward that man for a reason older than any of us. It signals he has something they want, security, and you cannot fake security. You can only stop performing long enough to go and build it. So the question becomes obvious. If the performance costs you everything and hands you nothing back, why can't you just put it down? The answer is darker than you'd expect, and it starts with one quiet little addiction almost every man is carrying: the need to be understood. Picture two men dealing with the exact same problem. Someone has misunderstood them, got the wrong idea, formed a bad opinion, decided there's something they're not. The first man cannot let it go. He explains, then he explains again, slightly differently, in case the first version didn't quite land. He sends the long message. He brings it up later, casually, except it isn't casual at all. He has now spent 3 days of his life trying to perform surgery on a thought inside another man's skull. The second man says his piece once, clearly, and then he does the thing that feels almost impossible. He stops. He lets the other man be wrong about him. Now watch what happens to the room over the next month. The first man looks anxious, because he is. Every conversation has turned into a negotiation for approval. The second man looks like he's got somewhere better to be, because in his own head, he does. And here's the brutal little law sitting underneath all of it. The man who needs to be understood by everyone is owned by everyone. Every person who can make you uncomfortable with one raised eyebrow is holding a piece of your leash. You have to understand something real about opinion. Some people decided who you were before you opened your mouth. You could deliver the perfect explanation, flawless, airtight, and they would still walk away believing whatever they walked in believing. Their opinion was never really about you anyway. It was about them, their mood, their insecurities, their story. So you've got a choice, and it's a choice powerful men make on purpose. You can spend your life as a lawyer, endlessly arguing your own case to a jury that isn't even listening, or you stop managing perception, start building character, and let the results do the arguing for you. One of those men is exhausted, the other one is free, and free men are difficult to control, which brings us to the people who were never really on your side to begin with. This one stings, so I'm just going to say it plainly. Watch what happens to a man's social circle the moment he loses something: his job, his status, his money, his usefulness to a particular group. The calls get shorter, then they get rarer. The invitations that used to be automatic suddenly need a reason behind them, and the man going through it tells himself a story, that people are cruel, that the world is fake, that nobody is loyal anymore. But that's not quite it. That's the bitter version, and bitterness is really just a weak man's coping mechanism. Here's the cleaner truth. Most relationships are transactions. Not all of them, but most. People stay where there's value, and that value shows up in a few forms. Emotional, you make them feel good. Social, you raise their standing. Practical, you're useful to them somehow. When the value drops off, the connection that was quietly built on it tends to drop off too. That's not betrayal. It's closer to physics, basically. It was always going to happen. You just couldn't see the wiring. And once a man sees that wiring, something cold and useful clicks into place. He stops begging. He stops trying to talk people into staying, because you cannot argue a man into valuing you. He turns inward, and not in a sad way at all. In a strategic way. He pours the energy he was burning on chasing people back into the one asset that actually controls his social gravity: himself, his skills, his presence, his standing. Because here's what the chasers never figure out: you do not get loyalty by needing it. You get it by building a version of yourself that people would be foolish to walk away from. The man everyone wants around is the man who genuinely does not need any single one of them. That isn't loneliness, that's leverage. But to build that, you first have to accept the loneliest fact in this entire video, and most men never do. So here it is, the fact most men spend their whole lives quietly waiting out. Nobody is coming. No mentor is going to show up at your door with a plan already written. The motivation you keep waiting to feel before you start, it is not in the mail. Nobody is coming to fix your situation, hand you discipline, or build the life for you while you sit and watch. The cavalry you've been listening for, it was never deployed. I know how that sounds. It sounds like the bleakest line in this whole thing. It is actually the opposite of bleak. It's the door, because as long as a man still believes rescue is possible, some part of him stays passive. He waits. He stays a little soft, a little unfinished, holding a seat warm for a hero who is not real. The day he finally accepts that nobody is coming is the day all that waiting energy has nowhere left to go but into action. There is no plan B to fall back on anymore. So plan A finally gets his whole effort, and something happens to a man who rescues himself. You can feel it on him. He carries a kind of stillness. Other men pick up on it the second he walks in, and they can't always put a name to it, but they respond to it anyway. He doesn't perform confidence. He doesn't talk loudly about how far he's come, doesn't need you to clap for the journey. He isn't really confident. He's something heavier than confident. He's certain. A man like that is almost impossible to manipulate. And the reason is simple when you see it. Manipulation runs on need. You move a man by promising him the thing he's desperate for, or threatening the thing he's afraid to lose. The man who built himself up from nothing already proved he can survive the loss. There is no thread left to pull on. And once you understand that, you will never look at your worst memories the same way again. There's a moment you're still carrying. You know the one. Something you said, something you did, some way you embarrassed yourself, and your brain quietly filed it under permanent. You assume it changed how people see you. You assume that somewhere out there people still bring it up. They don't. I'd honestly put money on it. Here's a small, slightly uncomfortable experiment for you. Try to remember the most embarrassing thing somebody else did in front of you 2 years ago. Go on, actually try. You probably can't. Not because it never happened, but because you genuinely did not care enough to store it. Now flip that around on yourself. That is exactly how much shelf space your own worst moment is taking up inside everyone else's head. Almost none of it. Time is doing something most men never give it any credit for. It is quietly deleting your humiliations for you. The thing that felt like the end of your whole reputation was, for the rest of the world, a forgettable Tuesday. They moved on within days. The only person who kept the file open, who reads it back, who lets it run at 1 in the morning, is you. You are not the victim of that memory. You're the archivist. You're the one keeping it alive. And a man dragging a museum of his own failures around with him cannot move freely. Every old mistake is a weight, and weight makes you slow, cautious, easy to read. The dangerous man travels light, not because nothing ever went wrong for him. Plenty did. He just refused to be the last man on earth still holding it against himself. He let the past do what the past does to everyone else eventually. He let it fade. So picture a man with no committee in his head, no performance running, no leash on his neck, nobody to chase, no rescue fantasy, and no museum of shame on his back. What is a man like that actually like to be around? That's where this gets interesting. Remember that question from the start. Why does a calm man make a room nervous? Here's your answer. Picture an argument. 2 men. The first one gets louder, gets faster, his voice climbing, leaning in, desperate to be agreed with right this second. The second man does not match him. He stays low, slow. He lets the silences just sit there without rushing to fill them. He answers like he's got all the time in the world, and somehow, weirdly, the energy of the entire room starts tilting toward him instead of the loud one. People misread that calm as politeness. It is not politeness. What you're actually watching is a man who has unplugged himself from the approval grid. The loud man is loud because he needs something from the room. Agreement, validation, a win he can walk away with. The calm man needs nothing, and need is the one thing other people can grab onto. Take it away, and you take away their handle on you. There's nothing left to pull. That's why stillness reads as power, and honestly, as a little bit of a threat too. A man who is not anxious to be liked is a man whose next move you cannot predict. He might agree with you, he might not. He might walk away from the whole thing entirely and clearly survive it. You can't bait him with flattery, and you can't shake him with disapproval, because both of those tools quietly assume he wants your opinion in the first place. He doesn't. So this is the strange shape of the whole thing. The man who stopped caring did not become weak or cold or checked out. He became dense, heavy. The detachment that started out as a kind of relief, just not caring so much anymore, slowly turned into the most useful weapon he owns. And there's one more turn left here, the part that ties all of it together. The day the whole thing actually clicks for a man. So let's talk about that day. It is not loud when it finally arrives. There's no big moment, no breakdown, no cinematic sunrise. It usually shows up as a quiet, almost boring realization on some ordinary afternoon, when a man simply notices he isn't waiting for anything anymore. He's not waiting for the crowd to approve of him, because he found out the crowd was never assembled in the first place. Being understood, he decided, was optional, and the right people staying, or someone arriving to save him, or an old mistake finally going quiet. He stopped holding his breath for any of it, all of it, set down at once. And when a man sets all of that down together, he does not feel empty, which is the thing he always feared he would feel. He feels armed. Here's why the word dangerous actually fits, and it has nothing to do with aggression. A dangerous man, in this sense, is just a man who cannot be cheaply moved. You can't buy him with praise because he doesn't really trade in it. Shame doesn't steer him either, since he stopped keeping that particular file open. And isolating him as a threat tends to fall flat because he made his peace with being alone a long time ago. Every standard lever the world reaches for to manage men, he has quietly disconnected. What's left over is a man who acts on his own judgment, at his own pace, for his own reasons. To everyone still playing the old game, that man looks unpredictable. And unpredictable, to people who like control, reads as dangerous. The world will not hand you this for free. It profits from your insecurity. Genuinely, a slightly anxious man is a reliable customer, an employee who won't push back, a follower who's easy to keep in line. The day you stop caring what they think is the day you stop being so easy to use. So that's the whole thing, really. Nobody is watching as closely as you fear. Nobody is coming to do the work for you. And almost nobody will remember your worst day. That used to sound like a sad little story. Look at it one more time. It's closer to a release form. The day all of that finally lands for you is not the day you lose something. It's the day you get yourself back. And a man who has himself, fully, owing nothing, afraid of no opinion in the room, that is about as dangerous and as free as a man can get. So I'll leave you with this. Somewhere between the start of this video and right now, you probably thought of one specific person whose opinion has been quietly running your decisions. A name came up. You felt it land. That's the leash. And you are allowed to drop it the moment you decide to. If any of this hit something real for you, tell me about it down in the comments. I read them. And honestly, the comment that says the uncomfortable part out loud usually does more for some other guy watching than the video itself did. Tell me which one of these truths you've been avoiding the longest. And if you want to keep going down this road, building the kind of mind nobody gets to rent space inside, there's another video waiting on screen that picks up pretty much where this one stopped. Go watch that one next. Your move.